Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Great. Feel like Elvis. It's great. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll be up in a minute, baby. Now, I just was on a cruise. I've never been on a cruise before. I don't know why I never did a cruise before. It is such a great thing. And one night in the karaoke bar, they had like 6 bars on this cruise, they had an Elvis Presley contest. And I guess I had a few too margaritas. My wife just literally pushed me up on stage, and I won first place Elvis impersonation contest. Of course. Okay, all right. Okay, you really want me to do this? All right. Okay, wait. Let's call her up. Okay, first of all, I should say that the reason I won is because all the other guys that were trying out for the impersonation contest were all like 10 and 15 years older than me. So I got up there and they're like, you know, doing this thing, and I'm kind of like, yeah, oh, since my baby left me. And I did this. Thank you. Can't see it over there. So now I'll teach you all how to be Elvis impersonators. The thing is, what made all these other guys lose is they think that it's the hips, like the Elvis would do the hips thing, but it actually was his knees. So he'd put his one knee up and then he'd bring the other knee up, and it would make the hips do this really cool thing. But now you all know how to do Elvis, okay? All right, great. All right, so this is called, and I'm losing my headset here, this is called How to Build a Complete Turnkey Sales and Marketing Machine. And I'm going to steal Harv's line. Good or good? Okay, great. But I don't like to start in a vacuum. So the first thing I'd like to do is, can anybody tell me the worst time to go on as a speaker? After lunch. So I'm going to actually, even though you dance and all that, I'm going to have you stand up for a second. And we have any chiropractors in the room? Okay, so then you can back me up here that movement of the spine actually pumps cerebral fluid into the brain. Helps you think better. So I will have you do this several times. It's twist like this. You are pumping cerebral fluid into the brain. Who can still touch your toes? All right. Can't do it there. Back like this. Ah, that's great. To the left, this way, yeah, right. To the this way. Okay. Great. Okay, thanks. Have a seat. So that we're not starting this in a vacuum, what I'd like you all to do is I'd like you to write down the 3 biggest challenges you'd like to solve here today. 3 biggest challenges you have, no matter what they are. Business challenges, marketing challenges, management challenges, sales challenges. Write them down right now. Great. And what I'd like to do is get a couple of people who don't mind being the guinea pig, but with a caveat that I want different types and sizes of companies, okay? So if a one-person army goes first, then next I want somebody that maybe has 5 or 6 employees, and next maybe somebody has 15. But what I'd like you to do is, also the other caveat is I'd like it to be somebody who has real challenges. You know, like you really need serious help, and you're going to throw that challenge at me, and the next couple hours I'm going to try and solve that. So, okay, we have someone raising their hand. Mike, you go ahead, stand up. You with the black sweater, jacket, coat. I don't have my glasses on. Blonde hair, though. I can see that. What's your name?
Lisa Spector from Half Moon Bay, California.
Lisa, okay. Tell me, Lisa, what's your business?
I own a music school.
Oh, okay. Music school. I can really help you already.
Great.
Okay. What challenges did you put down?
Not enough money.
Okay. How many other people can identify with that? Okay, good. That's a good universal one. Not enough money. Go ahead.
Not enough time.
Money. Oh, I'll put a $sign. Okay. 2, not enough time. Does anybody read that? It's like, have you noticed, like, since the invention of the computer, you completely lose your hand? You know, I never write anything except my signature, which is just deteriorated. And then the third one?
Too many projects going in all sorts of different directions.
Okay. And how do you get your clients now?
It's a fairly small town of 10,000 people, and most of my clients are word of mouth, and my performances, I'm a concert pianist, so my performances in the area drawing clients.
Okay.
I have a referral system. It's going to be systemized by Friday.
Yeah. Okay. All right, great. Next person. And different size company.
My name is Liz.
Liz? Okay. What kind of business do you have?
We have a fruit decorating facility.
Fruit decorating?
Yeah. Okay. What we do is we can brand any type of a variety of produce with any type of logo, slogan, design, or character.
Okay. So say that again. You lost me.
Okay. We brand a variety of produce, apples and pears, that type of deal, with any type of logo, slogan, design, or character.
Oh, okay.
And it's 100% edible. And then we also...
So I would get an apple with the Peak Potentials logo on it, for example.
Absolutely, yes.
Cool, right? That's cool.
Okay, and then also in the fall season, we paint pumpkins, and we have a, a line of Pumpkin Patch Pals that is nationwide and actually sells into Canada, Mexico, and Taiwan as well.
Okay, and what are your challenges?
Well,
Mind if I ask how many people you have working for you?
It's seasonal. During most of the year, there's 5 employees,
Okay.
including myself and my business partner.
Okay.
During our peak season in the fall, we employ up to about 80 people.
Wow, okay. That could probably be one of the challenges there.
Yeah, it is.
Keeping good people in the off-season.
Well, that one has actually worked out fairly well because we have a lot of people that come back from year to year. Our biggest challenge has been developing our sales on the fruit deco side and determining our target market because it's kind of we have a lot of different aspects to our business. Last year we received a USDA grant for a branded produce campaign to put characters on produce to encourage children to eat more fruits and vegetables.
That's cool. I like that. That's
And
a great
so,
idea.
We're just trying to...
That's got to be huge,
It
right?
is, and we're just trying to get it out into the marketplace, and we're so frustrated with it because it
So-
seems like we have a lot of challenges doing
Okay,
that.
all right, great. I'll help you for sure. All right, gentlemen, pass it just that way. Just go the other way.
My name is Mark,
Okay, Mark?
and my biggest challenge is starting with something.
Well, do you not have a business?
I have tons of ideas that can be marketable, but little to no money to start the business.
Okay, so not enough money. We got that one. And you
And
don't know what you want to do. No clue, no idea.
I do, but I don't know how to market it.
Well, tell us what it is.
It's online photography course, interactive photography course.
Okay, that sounds cool. All right, so an interactive. And then what are the challenges if you were to start that?
I've already written the course outline and content. I just haven't moved it forward other than no money to make it move forward,
Okay.
and don't know how to find the money to make it move forward.
Okay, I'll show you how you won't need money. Okay? But now, one person, really serious challenges. Like, got serious, not like don't know how to sell, but like, the market is going down. The woman yelling in the back, the one who just yelled. Stand up. What's your name?
My name's Mary. I'm from San Diego. I have a company called Collegiate Funding, and we do student loan consolidation.
Okay.
My biggest problem is that I do 70% of my business in 90 days.
Okay, I asked for it, didn't I? Huh? Stupid. What was I thinking? Okay, what was it? 80% of your business in 90 days?
70% in 3 months. It's extremely seasonal.
Tell me about it. How does it work?
Well, students get out of college, and we consolidate student loans, and they're looking to do it in a short time frame. They're looking to do it in a time frame prior to rates adjusting, which is generally July 1. So we have April, May, and June, where we have a huge influx of customers. and then July 1, the business dies for the rest of the
And how
year.
do you get the customers? How do they find out about you?
Primarily internet marketing. We also work with schools,
How
universities,
do you work with the schools and
fraternities.
universities? How do you work with them?
We work with them through student representatives that we place on some of the larger campuses, and we work through
Okay.
fraternities and sororities.
Oh, good. And how do you work with them?
We have a campus program to where they make commission for their fraternities.
Okay.
They go out and they do guerrilla marketing on a campus.
Okay. Okay, so the problem is suddenly you have this huge influx of business. You need to talk to the fruit Liz over here, because she's mastered that, right? You have 80 people at peak season, and then, is it the same for you?
It is the same for us.
How many people do you ramp up to in that busy period?
Well, we go outside. Generally, we've got about 15 to 20 people throughout the year in-house. And during the busy season, we go to Canada, actually, and hire a telemarketing company where we have anywhere from 18 to 36 reps.
Okay, so why the telemarketing? Are they just to interact with all the applicants who want to?
We buy lists of all the college graduating seniors, and we call them all.
Okay, okay, great. All right, so I will try to help you. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. Yes, give her a hand. That was Mary. Okay, how to build a complete turnkey sales and marketing machine. And in about 25 minutes, you're going to see exactly what I mean. Let me show you the biggest marketing problem you all have. This is the biggest marketing problem you all have. It's called the clutter factor. In 1992, we got a project for Pacific Bell. It was a client of mine. And we did a research study, and we found out there were 2,000 commercial messages per day. Like from the time you get up to the time you go to bed, you're this person here with 2,000 commercial messages per day besieging you from every direction. Then in 1993, just a year later, we got hired from Thomson Newspapers, 154 newspapers, big in Canada for you Canadians, right? They own the Globe and Mail, which I did a turnaround on. They own 54 newspapers, and probably most of the big cities in Canada are owned by Thomson. And then we found out that there were now 3,000 commercial messages per day. So in 1 year, it grew 1,000 commercial messages per day. Guess what it is today? 30,000. Time magazine says from the time you get up and you look in your medicine cabinet and you see 40 different commercial messages there on your razor blade, on your shaving cream, to the time you go to bed and you set the alarm clock and there's a logo on that alarm clock, you're going to see 30,000 commercial messages per day. So let me show you what this has done. Oh, and then, of course, if you sell B2B, let's ask, how many people sell B2B? Business to business. In fact, I'm going to ask you actually to stand up. I'll have you standing up, sitting down, standing up, because your legs are the best pumps in the body. All people who sell B2B stand up. Business to business. It's probably like 30% of the room, okay? So you guys have it even harder, because when you're selling B2B, what do you sell? You sell software to businesses, right? So they not only have all this commercial clutter that every consumer deals with, they've got your competitors dealing, okay? So important decision makers receive more. Have a seat. Okay. So what's the most effective way for you to rise out of that clutter? How can you be noticed more than anybody else in that clutter? And what has that clutter caused to have happened? Well, one of the things it's done is it's tripled the cost of trying to get in front of the buyer. And it would be nice if the fact that the cost of getting in front of the buyer has tripled and the response has, do you think it has? Actually, it's gone down, yes. The effectiveness has fallen. It used to take 4 attempts to get in front of a buyer. It now takes 8.4 attempts to get in front of a buyer. So the bottom line is it's costing you 3 times as much to get half the result. Rob didn't mention, but I have a feature film deal with Warner Brothers, producer and writer, and actually I have a musical place with them, so I even wrote some of the songs in it. And they were saying that just like 10 years ago, for $5 million, you could basically get a movie to have like 70% name recognition. Guess what it is today? 30 million, yeah, whoever said that knows the business. $30 million is the average it takes just to get to where we can all go, oh yeah, I heard of the 40-year-old virgin or whatever. Okay. So what we're going to talk about today is how do we get 9 times more impact from the same moves we're already making, the power of the core story and how it changes everything, how to train new hires in under an hour. Would that help you, Liz and Mary? Right? How'd you like to be able to train someone in just bam, an hour flat? I'm going to show you how to do that. Triple your referrals. Who here would like that? Okay, great. Get all the best possible buyers, the dream buyers. This concept alone, all by itself, can double your sales if you listen to what I say and you stick with it like a champion racehorse. Okay, and then working smarter, not harder. Who would like to do that? Okay, everybody wants to do that. And then there's 4 strategies that I'm going to cover in here that each one of them by itself could double your sales if you were to apply it effectively. Okay, everybody stand up. Every time I see somebody dozing off, I'm going to have the whole group stand up and twist. Come on. Whole survey. Stay standing. If you're in a company $1 million or more, stay standing. If you're in a company smaller than $1 million, sit down. Okay, so by the way, I'm going to give you the stats of what it's like in the rest of the world. How about 5 million or more? Stay standing. How about 10 million or more? Stay standing. Okay, all right. Stand up if you're the owner of the company, as compared to you're an employee for somebody else. If you're a company owner, stand up. Any size company. You own it. You live it every day. Survive. Okay? Now, sit down. See, this is where I get the blood pumping. Okay, sit down, and let's have you stand up if you work for someone else. So owners, sit down. Work for someone else, stand up. And then stay standing if you're here by yourself. Your boss didn't make you come. Stay standing. Wow. Yeah. That's awesome. So they came here on their own to get their skills on their own. That's impressive. Okay. One-person armies, stand up. The rest sit down. One-person army, you own it, you're the one, it lives or dies by you. Wow, that's like 70% of the room. Yes, let's give those guys a big hand. All right, great. Under 5, so it's 2 to 5. 2 to 5 employees stand. Okay, 15 to 6 employees stand. Okay, over 15. 15 or over. Okay, all right, so now let me show you what the facts are. Oh, sorry, one more question. Who here has salespeople? Stand up. If you have salespeople working for you now. Okay, stay standing. If you'd like to have salespeople working for you now, stand up. Okay? Now everybody stand up. Everybody, please. So what I'm going to show you is every single one of you, one of the best strategies you could ever deploy for growing your business is hiring someone to help you sell. They're cheap or free, and I'm going to show you how to get them. I'm going to show you how to get fantastic talent for nothing or next to nothing. Okay? So that's a good thing. If you're in business 1 year or more, stay standing. That's most of the room. How about 2 years? Stay standing. Okay, 80% of all businesses fail in the first 2 years, so congratulations to you guys standing. 5 years. 5 years or more. 10 years or more. Now let's give these guys a hand because I'm about to show you how impossible that is. Seriously. 10 years? You can't be in business 10 years. Okay, all right. The company you work for is 10 years in business. Okay, guy's 14, you know. I'm kidding. 20, right? 22, okay. I'm thinking he's 12, and he has a great big paper route. All right, thank you. Sit down. Have a seat. All right, so here's the actual facts. 95% of all companies will never reach $1 million in sales. Did we see that in the room? Right? 95%. Actually, here was a little bigger. I think it was probably about 15% of you were in companies $1 million or more. So that's a rare thing. If you've built a company to $1 million, it's extraordinary. It's just, I mean, you know, most people, they're lucky if they make 100 grand a year. If you're doing 100 grand a month, you pulled off a miracle. And then to get to 5 million, it's only 0.08%. And so again, if you've done that in here, God bless you, congratulations. And then to get to 10 million, it's 1.5. So the people who get to 5 million, we have another very small percentage of them will actually push over to 1.5%. Here's the stat I told you about. Only 1 in 25 companies will last 10 years. So 96% of companies do not make it 10 years. That's why I said, let's give these guys a hand. We had a big crowd of you in here. 10 years in business, phenomenal. Seriously. Yeah, okay, that's another hand. Yeah, now that you know, right, how hard it is. So here's a question. This is interesting. I've done this event where people paid $99, this part of the event, and then I've done it where people pay $5,000. And after I ask you the question, then I'm going to tell you what I found the differences to be. How many people here in this room at some point in your life, at some point, now maybe it was when you were 22, but life changes your ambitions and your goals. We change our goals. My license plate on my car for 10 years said 1 billion. Seriously, like from 22 to 32, it said 1 billion. Now I'm happy with 100 million. Just, settle for. Okay, that was a joke. All right. So, how many people here at some point, even if it's changed now, but envisioned yourself having a $10 million or more company? Stand up. Stand up. This is where I get the blood pumping. Okay, 10 million or more, that's almost the whole room. All right, great. Now, so have a seat. So how come if the majority of this room wanted to be in $10 million a year companies, and we've seen that, 0.1%, and it's probably what this room actually has. In here, we had 10 people with $10 million companies. How come? So some people say, well, maybe it's the product or the service. I got into the wrong product or the service, but the fact is, in most cases, it's not the product or service. A guy by the name of Joe opens up a hamburger joint. In 1967, we go back 30 years later, it's still Joe's hamburger joint. Another guy opens a hamburger joint, we go back 30 years later, and it's McDonald's. Now, which place do you think has better hamburger meat? Probably Joe's, right? So it's not the product or service. So what is it? Well, in order to have systems, what do you need? Skills, baby. It's the skills or learning curve of the entrepreneur. That is what makes all the difference. What kind of a person builds a company to $1 million? Rare individual. And then that same person needs to change how they think, how they operate, how they act, how they plan, everything if they're going to get to 5 million. And then again, another shift at 5 million to get to 10 million, 100 million, a billion and beyond. In fact, what I always say is that anyone with enough passion, drive, and hard work can build a company to $1 million working half days. Who can tell me what a half day is? 12 hours. Well-trained crowd. All right? So maybe even 2. I've seen it where somebody can drag the company and get it to 2 million, and they're busting their tail 7 days a week. But you cannot get to 5 million on hard work, and you sure as not are going to get to 10 million on just hard work alone. So there's other things that are going to make you get there. And let me ask a question. How many people here would like to earn 10 times or more money? 10 times more money, all right? Keep your hand up if you can work 10 times or more hours. Right? You can? You can work 10 times more hours? It's not working enough, okay? Nice to know you're not going to have to work harder. So that's the whole point. You're not going to have to work harder. There are people making 10 times more money than you. You know they're not working 10 times harder than you, right? So what's the difference? You're only going to have to work smarter, and that's what this session is all about. So to reach 10 million and beyond, you're going to hear what I say. You're going to understand it intellectually. There's not going to be anything that's not logical, so your brain's going to go, yep, I completely understand it. You're going to even agree with all the principles that I cover. You're going to know that these are the things you should do, and then you will still not do it. Okay? This is the reverse psychology section of the, where your kids were young, you used to be able to say, but you can't get me a drink of water, and they'd run off and get you a drink of water, and now I have teenagers, and they just go, Dad, get me a drink of water. Of course, I don't do that. So why won't you do it? More reverse psychology. This is a statement that I've had people come back to me 10 years after seeing one of my seminars and say, one of the most valuable things I got out of you was that one statement about what it takes, pig-headed discipline and determination. That's what it takes to build a really, really, truly great company. And I'm going to prove it to you so thoroughly, you won't believe it. To constantly work on the business, and again, I'm preaching to the choir here because I know you guys have been hearing this for 5 days. But the question is, what do you work on? That's the secret. What are you going to pick? What are the battles you're going to pick to work on? Because the more complex, the harder it is. How many people, because they've had so many ideas here, are more confused? Okay? That's like, 40% of the room, right? So I'm going to make it simple for you. There's only 12 things that make all great companies. There's only 12 things. And that's what's going to make the difference for you. Another key to working smarter is to focus on the impact areas with great intensity. So I just ran into a fellow who has one of my training programs. Guy's got like 6 companies or something like that. And so he's having a hard time implementing any of them very well. And what you need to do when you have a situation like that is just break it down into what are the 6 most important things, or what are the impact areas that you need to work on, and just work on those. And I'm going to give you a whole system for that. So any area that has impact. So I'm going to give you 12 areas that will dramatically improve any company. 4 of them will double your sales this year, each one. So if you put all of them together, it can make a huge difference. And each one of these stands alone as a competency. So how does one become a master? Anybody here study karate? Okay. How many times did you stand throwing punches in rounds of 2? Right, if you have any degree, like I had a karate school in Times Square. I've studied 13 styles of martial arts, 23 years of study. My father's a Marine combat instructor, so I started learning when I was literally 3 years old. Becoming a master is not about doing 4,000 things. It's about doing 12 things 4,000 times. That's what makes the master. That's what's going to make all the difference. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to break it down for you and make it easy for you. So let me show you right now 2 things that doubled the sales of a client. So I have a carpet company. This is one of the largest carpet companies in the country. I think he's the largest or the second largest. Most carpet companies are 2 guys in a truck. You know, barely makes a living. 2 guys in a truck. You'd be lucky if they have 300 customers. They do 1 or 2 cleanings a day. This guy has, let's say, a couple dozen trucks, and he's got 30,000 clients. So he comes to me, sees me at the event, and he says, you know, I really like your concepts, and I think that I could double the amount of clients that I have if you could help me. So I say, well, how often do your current clients buy? It's about once every 3 years. So how many people here have had their carpets cleaned in the last year? Wow, surprisingly clean room. Okay. No, I'll show you why, because most people do it, you know, how many people haven't done it in 3 years? Right? Just you figure if you're vacuuming, your house is clean, right? So I said to him, well, what would happen if we got your clients to buy more often? Like instead of them buying once every 3 years, what if we could train your clients to buy twice a year? Do the math. If clients buying once every 3 years, that means you're making 10,000 sales a year. What if we could get your clients to buy twice a year? What would happen to the business? So his hands start trembling right away. He goes, yeah, but you know, we've tried that. We've done brochures and we've sent them flyers, and you know, basically people just, you know, they're not that, you know, if they get the thing when they're ready to clean, they're going to clean. So I'm big on research. You're going to see it. Like after, you know, when I'm finished here, every single one of you is going to realize that there is research you could do that will help you double, triple your closing ratio. You will be shocked. Okay, and I'm going to prove it to you beyond a shadow of a doubt. So let me start with this carpet cleaning company. We go out and we do some studies, and we find out the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, has actually studied, to my utter delight, when I have a client that sells carpet cleaning, they've studied the impact of the cleanliness of your carpet on the health of your home. And in fact, what they found in the carpet was so disgusting, they took carpet out of government buildings. Because there's aspergillus, there's dust mites, there's feces, the bacteria that feeds on it. And even if you vacuum every single day, vacuuming does not kill germs. So that's why the deep dirt extraction, like you see the steam coming out of this guy's, you know, carpet cleaner here, that steam is boiling hot and it's killing the germs in the carpet. So in fact, the EPA studies show that they can get your carpets 15 times cleaner than you can. And the results are it makes a healthier home. When they took carpets out of the government buildings, people got sicker 4 times more often. Yeah, because those are like giant health filters. They're capturing all that stuff that you'd normally be breathing in. So it's not, the answer is not getting rid of your carpets, it's just having your carpets cleaned twice a year, Mrs. Jones. So that was my idea. We called it the Gold Service, developed a script around it, tested it with their top producer. That's what I always do. Let's take the best guy if you're going to test something. And the way I work with companies is I basically run the sales meeting. So I'm on the phone, and they've got the whole sales staff listening and the CEO listening, and I gave this brilliant idea, and I gave the brilliant script that I thought was brilliant. And we went away, and we come back the following week and got the top salesman on the phone, and I go, so Rob, how did it go? Didn't work. Didn't work? Nope, didn't work. Didn't work at all? No, terrible, total failure. And this guy's, you know, top producer, big ego, you know. So I go, well, how many people did you offer it to? He said, I offered it to 10 people. And I said, nobody took it? He said, Yeah, 2 people took it. Total failure. That's because 8 people said no. It didn't work. Well, let's do the math. If 20% of 30,000 customers were signed up onto the Gold service, that would be 6,000 extra sales a year. How many sales a year does he make now? So what would that do to the business all by itself, just that one thing? Not only that, but it would stabilize the business. Rob, the top producer, who was so resistant to my stuff, and now, of course, is the biggest and best purveyor of my material, but, you know, he was so resistant to my stuff, now he goes into, what are we coming into, May? Yeah, May. He goes into May, and he knows he's got 813 people who are going to get their carpet cleaned in May. Changed his life. Does that make sense? Whereas he never knew before whether mailer is going to work, were people going to call in. Now they have a huge percentage of their base signed it up. So if that were up to that sales rep, the idea would have died right then and there. So you're getting the idea of pig-headed discipline and determination. You're going to get a lot of ideas here, but if you don't go back to your office with pig-headed discipline and determination, it won't matter, right? Because that idea was just dead right then and there. It took me 6 months of working with these guys on the phone every single week and getting a little bit better every week, what I call incremental gains. And now, after 6 months, we got 40% of their 30,000 customers are signed on to Gold service. Changed the whole company, changed the guy's life. Whereas, you know, like I said, there'd be some months where he's like, are we going to have any business this month? He wouldn't know. And now he knows. Now, the other thing that I found is they sent me the tapes, and I would listen to their salespeople selling, and they had one where they sent me, and I'm listening to this, one of their salespeople talking to a lady who's a 78-year-old woman with a walker. She's got one of these walkers to get around, and she's got a rug, not carpet. Now, rugs, they can just roll them up, take them out. They've got literally a washing machine as big as this stage, and they can drop your rug in there, and they can get that thing super clean. Like, you know, carpets you can only get so clean, you know, because they're stuck on the floor and you can't get them completely clean, but they can still get them 15 times cleaner than you can. But a rug, they can just get that thing completely clean. And so the old lady says, well, what about the pad? You know, rugs always have a pad under them. And the salesperson says, well, how old is it? She says, oh, it's 15 years old. She goes, oh, no, you're going to have to replace that pad. And the old lady goes, oh, okay, yeah, I'll have to figure out how to do that. And I write down, I'm listening in the car, like driving along, I'm listening to just the tapes he made of the salespeople selling. And I write down, should sell padding, right? So I call him up, got this big breakthrough. Hey, Paul, you know, you should sell padding. He goes, we do. I go, no, you don't. Here is an old lady with a walker, and the salesperson said, we called the salesperson, and she said she doesn't want to be pushy. Okay? How many people heard of Jay Abraham? Jay Abraham? Okay, here's a saying I love of Jay Abraham's. He says, you have a moral obligation to at least let your buyer know every service that you have so that they can at least take advantage of it. And this was a perfect example. So the next thing I did was get them offering all 6 of their services. They'll clean your drapes. They'll clean your furniture. They'll clean your bed. What do you think is in your bed if that's what's in your floor? You don't even want to know. So these guys will do all of that stuff, and the salespeople felt like they were being pushy, but we worked out a script, we worked out a way. So what happened? What are the lessons? When I started working with them, they had not had more than a 10% increase in 100 years. And you probably say, well, 100 years. Well, legitimately, the owner's father's father's father in 1889 started this carpet cleaning company, and he grew over 100 years to be one of the largest carpet cleaning companies in the country. The average, the lowest sales rep was doing $13,000, and the average was doing $35,000. Today, the lowest producer, $49,000. The highest producer, $106,000. So, thank you. Yeah, he was happy. Now, here's the point. I didn't do 10 things. How many things did I do? 2. 1, Gold service. 2, offer the 6 other services. 2 things. But it took 6 months of hard labor to get that to work in the business. So pig-headed discipline and determination, that is the key. So how perfect do you want your company to be? And if you're a one-person army, which we see we've got a lot of you guys, can you answer these questions for yourself? Have you refined your business to this level? So I want you to yell out true or false. If you're one-person army, then have you actually systematized your business to where you've got the answers for all of these questions? And if you have employees, and those of you who have to ramp up really big, really fast, you know, the 2 people who have that challenge, You need to answer true or false to these questions. All employees perform each aspect of the job with a high degree of excellence and consistency. True or false? Say it out loud. Okay. Results are somewhat predictable because training and skills are consistent. Okay. Each supervisor would give a similar answer for each question or problem. Okay, not true if you don't have supervisors, but each employee would give a similar answer for each question or problem. That one is usually really false in most organizations. Client treatment is similar no matter who the client deals with. Okay, if you're a one-person army, client treatment is similar no matter what mood you're in. Okay, seriously, because that makes a huge difference. Okay, all staff members know what is considered good performance or attitude. Okay, great. So this is the first of the 12 competencies. It's what I call the 3 Ps. Studies show that the most successful businesses are constantly focused. This is how you get to be Fortune 500. He mentioned that I've had 50. It's actually now 60. The bio hasn't been updated in a couple years. But I've had 60 of the Fortune 500, the biggest companies in the world. And let me tell you, the one thing they do really well, they're totally systematized. So here's the 3 Ps. They have constant planning, literally weekly planning. And then from the planning, so we planned the gold service, and then we said, well, what's the procedure we're going to test? And then when the procedures were figured out, we made them company. So there you go. Those are the 3 Ps. That's how you create a great company. You can go to McDonald's in Harlem or McDonald's in Beverly Hills. You will get the identical Big Mac. Identical. The more you utilize the 3 Ps, the better the company runs without you. Does that make sense? So all the other competencies I'm going to show you, there's only 12 of them. This overlays over all of them. All right? How much time are we talking about? Because that's the other thing that came up. I don't have the time. You know, it was the first person we talked to was the music business. Lisa, you don't have the time. Okay? And we know you don't have 10 times more time than any music schools that are 10 times bigger than you. So how much time are we talking about to create a truly great company? How about 1 hour a week? Can everybody here give 1 hour a week to make a truly great company? Yes or yes? Yes. Okay, I love that. I'm going to use that constantly now. My approach when I work with companies is basically I work about an hour a week. That's it. I coach the CEO for half an hour. Then I work with the staff for an hour. And I've changed the course and direction. That carpet cleaning company, man, rocked that guy's world. Hour a week. That's it. So the key is to make that hour incremental, that you want an incremental improvement over the week before. The meeting must be mandatory. I tell a company when I get involved with them, okay, if you miss the meeting, there's no excuse. There's 2 reasons. You were dead or you're dying. And if you're dying, you can be on the phone. So, I mean, there's no excuse to miss it. I just have a brand new client, just started working with him, and the first call we did, 2 of his top producers didn't attend. So now he has to go and, because we made major progress. Just in that hour, we came up with 3 or 4 procedures they weren't doing. We upgraded the way they sell. We created a script. We role-played it. Huge learning curve in an hour. Incremental improvement on everything they were doing. Now the CEO has to go and try and translate everything I said. We recorded it, of course, but to those people. So it's twice as much work. So that meeting is absolutely mandatory. Nobody misses it for any reason. If you're one-person army, you set aside 1 hour a week, no matter what, where you're going to work on one of these 12 competencies, no matter what. So it's 12 competencies, and if you worked on 1 each week for an hour, that's about 12 weeks worth of work, right? On your business, and I'm going to give you the 12 competencies. At the end of the 12 weeks, what do? That's it. You guys know it. That's the secret. Okay. So this is so powerful. This is strategy versus tactics. How many people could identify the difference? Like 8 people, okay? This is going to change your life. It's so important. I'm going to save it. It's got its own section. Okay, third competency of a great business, you have to be great at getting clients. You have to be great at getting clients. How many current methods do you have now? How many people here have one main method of getting clients, and if that faltered, they'd be in big trouble really fast? Okay, Jay Abraham calls that the diving board. You have one method of getting clients. That's very dangerous. So you must have a constant concerted effort. What's the mandatory time? If you're a one-person army, how much time per day should you spend growing the business, looking for new prospects? Does anybody know? 2.5 hours. I don't know, does somebody else say 6, another trainer here? But 2.5 hours, they say, for an average performer, 4 hours for a superstar. If you have salespeople, 2.5 hours of their day, every day, without fail, is spent prospecting. just trying to grow the business, finding new clients. Same for you if you're one-person army. Does your marketing calendar include at least one new approach per month? I will do, we do 5 at a time. So the ultimate goal of marketing is that you come up to the top of someone's mind when they call your name. That's what you really want to try and achieve. So I'm going to say some type of product. I want you to yell it out. Go ahead at first. What's a baby shampoo? Name an American car company. Name a cola company. Okay, that's what you call top of mind awareness. Okay, those are top of mind. So now also people might have said GM or Chrysler. A couple wise guys will say Pepsi. But Coca-Cola has what's called top of mind awareness. And why does Ford, because GM's much bigger than Ford, why does Ford top of mind? Because everything's a Ford. GM has brands. They have Cadillac, they have a couple other brands, can't think of the names of them right now. But Ford, everything is a Ford. It's a Ford Mustang, it's a Ford Crown Vic, it's always a Ford. So they branded better than somebody else with all those. So now, extensive studies reveal that the most well-known companies all do 7 things. It's a $340,000 study. It took 5 years to attend. They took companies in every community that became #1 in their field, and they all did 7 things. So I'm going to save you 5 years and $349,000 worth of research and tell you what they are. Here they are. They're called the 7 musts of marketing. #1 is personal contact. #2 is direct mail. #3 is the internet. #4 is company brochures or literature, sales literature, promo pieces, tools, sales tools, we could call that. Advertising, public relations, and education of the client education. Now, if you're a small one-person army and you don't have a big budget, and a lot of you don't, there's smarter ways to spend your money. So I'll cover all of these ways, and I'm going to show you how to grow your company without spending a lot of money. But those are the 7 musts of marketing. Here they are again. And the difference is what we call stack marketing makes a difference of how you get to be really successful, and it's what makes a USP really important. So what you see here, and even the biggest companies in the world are guilty of this, they have their advertising is done by an advertising agency. Their brochures are done by a different agency. The company education in most cases is weak or poor or non-existent, but trade shows are considered a form of education. Public speaking is another form of education. Within these 7 musts of marketing, there's 66 different ways to grow your company. Okay? Direct mail is done by a direct mail house. So what happens is if each one of these are done differently, they look differently, they sound differently, they smell differently, it takes a long time for you as the potential buyer of this product or service to really understand what that company is selling. So what you really want to do is have a consistent theme or message. A theme would be something like Tony the Tiger. Okay, the ads changed, but it was always Tony the Tiger. The Jolly Green Giant, sometimes it was peas, sometimes it was carrots, but it was always the Jolly Green Giant. That's a theme. At the very least, you should have a slogan, and it should appear every time your name appears. And I'm going to get into that later. I'll give you some really good rules, because I understand you were told to write a USP, but I'll give you the 5 rules of a great USP. Okay, would that be valuable? Okay, great. Which of these is the most potent? Which of these do you think would have the most impact in front of a buyer? Absolutely. Personal contact, the most potent form of marketing. None of your other marketing efforts will have as much impact as now you're in front of somebody, you're in front of a buyer. You know, you saw an ad, you read an article, you saw them on the internet, now you're talking to someone at the company. There's nothing more potent than that. So that leads us to the 4th competency, which is understanding the art of sales. You can't improve something you don't understand. What are the steps to your sales process? Who here has broken them down? You could name them. You could, bam, I could grill you right now, and you could name the 7 steps that everybody goes through if they're going to buy your product or service. Who can name them? Nobody that will raise their hand. Okay, well, I'm going to give you 7 generic steps, and you can try and fit your steps into this. There may be some more that you have. And again, who has a business that's purely internet business? Okay, now keep your hand up if affiliates are critical to your business. Okay, so these are important for you too, and then a website can also accomplish these 7 steps to every sale. So here's the decision-making process that anybody goes through. First, they have to trust and respect you. So #1, they must trust and respect you. So What have you done at the tactical level to work on how you gain more trust and respect? Number 2 is you have to find the need. Or I will add something, you can actually create the need. You can show somebody why they need something they didn't know they needed. And hey, did I show you that with carpet cleaning? How many people, after I told you what's in your carpets, are motivated to want to go home and have your carpets cleaned, right? Okay, so there, I didn't have to find the need. I know there's a need, and I explained it to you. Okay, number 3, build value. What you sell has to have some value to it, and you have to have a step in the process where you show me the value. You delineate that value for me. Number 4, create desire. How do you make me want it? You got to make me want it. So you got to be able to really create that desire. Number 5, overcome objections. So what are the reasons why people aren't going to buy? And if you're not going to think of that in advance, you're going to be weak at dealing with them. Number 6, close. Close the sale. So good closing skills are really important. And number 7 is follow-up. And you notice how the first 6 are within this pyramid and the bottom one has its own place because it deserves it. Great follow-up deserves its own place. But the first 6, if you'll see, the pyramid is heavy down here, and that's because in most organizations, all of the focus is on what are the reasons why people are not going to buy, how do we overcome them, and how do we close the sale. The top 2 are usually up to the individual. Now, when you study the top salespeople in the world, you find that this pyramid is inverted, and that they actually will spend 40% of their time and energy developing trust and respect, 25% finding the need or creating that need. So you are 65% of the way to a sale if you just do the first 2 really, really well. And then the great salespeople do not have to close. They bring the close to a logical conclusion. Does that make sense? Who knows what I'm talking about? Right? Okay? Great salespeople bring the sale to a logical conclusion. Now, that does not mean that you don't need closing skills. Because you do, and I'm going to show you why. They're very, very important. 5th competency is time management. It came up. Not enough time. We all have the same amount of time. Does Bill Gates have any more hours than you do? How many hours does he have every day? Same 24 you have. So what we do with that, studies show that we spend the majority of our time working on things that produce very little results. Like literally 80% of our time, if we studied you, would produce very, very little results. And 20% of it is the things that you produce great results with. How many people have had somebody they worked with or somebody who works for them who always seems really, really busy but doesn't get a lot done? Right? I call them busy people. And then you look at the end of the week, they've done nothing. Because they tend to focus on easy tasks to get them out of the way instead of the important tasks that would make a huge difference. So it's just shifting your focus, because if 80% of our results comes from 20% of our focus, what would happen if we shifted our focus? Potentially you could quadruple the impact, okay? So if you run your company or you're in a reactive mode, okay, let me just tell you something, time management secret of the week. How many people have the dinger on when their email comes in and stop to check their email? Ding, email goes. Like nobody. That's so great. That's so great, because the studies are now showing that if you constantly interrupt your concentration, you actually lose the ability to concentrate. So that email is for your convenience. If it's not convenient, don't answer it. Don't check it. I build it into my day when I'm going to check my email. Train yourself and everyone to do those weekly meetings. They make a huge difference. Now, let me show you, plan your day, your month, your year. So let me show you how you really get great at time management. All right? This is the learning curve for any skill. Down here is lowest level of skill, right? Lowest level of skill. There's average skill. Here's master level skill. This is everybody, right? We're all, most people are average in their skill areas. If you're a master, how many people here have some level of mastery in some area of their life? It could be tennis, it could be sports, it could be specialized knowledge, right? You're an expert in some way or another. Now, let me ask you a question. Did you get to be an expert from a weekend seminar? No. Let me show you how you got to be an expert, okay? You took some training. You noticed an immediate improvement, right? You guys got an immediate improvement here. And in fact, I instituted time management. I ran 9 companies for Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner. And I was 28 or something. I was #1 producer in New York City. And I was recruited by Charlie to run a magazine that he bought. And within 3 years, I was running 9 companies, magazines, trade show newspapers. I was out of control. I was working 12 hours a day at the office, 3 hours at home. I worked every weekend. I worked every vacation for years. Never got a day off, not one day off in 3 years. And then I got the epiphany, mostly from watching how Charlie managed his business, because anybody could come to my door and say, hey, Chet, got a minute? And what kind of people do you think I would hire? Bright, smart, talented, aggressive. So every one of them was in my face every single day saying, got a minute. And I noticed when I had to meet with Charlie Munger, billionaire, number 18th richest man in America in the billionaires column, that I had to have an agenda, I had to set an appointment, I had to be razor sharp, I had to know what I wanted to talk about. We started with the results. What is the result you want from this meeting? That would be how we start the meeting, okay? So it changed me, and I got this epiphany, and I came back and I implemented 6 fundamental steps of how we were going to run the company. Everybody did it on Tuesday. They all came back and said, wow, that's probably the most productive day I think I've ever had. And by Friday, almost nobody was doing any of it. Right? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Okay, but some permanent skill remains. So we started here, started at the bottom, right? We got an increase in skill, dramatic fall off, and a little bit of permanent skill remains. So me, pig-headed discipline and determination, I'm the one that implemented this. I'm a 5th degree black belt in karate. We're going to do that dang thing again. Same exact material. We are not going to invent 6 new ways to manage our time. We're going to stay with the first 6 ways that I gave you here. And then what happened? The fall off came again, not as dramatic. More permanent skill remains. And then I taught it again. And that's how you guys get to master level. That's how you're going to make it stick. These 12 competencies, you're just going to revisit them again and again and again. There's 12 of them, that's 12 weeks. If you put time management, and you just sat in a room with yourself and say, how can I be more effective with my time? You're going to come up with a couple of ideas, am I right? If you have a staff, are they going to give you ideas? I tell owners of companies, the only thing you need to, if you have a staff, the only thing you need to bring to a meeting is your judgment. You know, and that's a big learning curve for most CEOs. They think they got to think of everything. I'm like, you don't need to think of anything. I have a client who owns 60 stores or whatever. It's like he tries to think of everything. You don't have to think of anything. You got 60 store managers. Go in a room, ask them what they think. You'll get lots of ideas you would have never even thought of. So that's the key. That's the really key. Okay, 6 competency. Anybody recognize this guy? How about now? Okay, that's the gatekeeper. One of the competencies of a great business is to master the telephone. It's one of the most potent weapons you can have today, whether it's your affiliates you're trying to get, or whether it's sales you're trying to get, or whether you're telemarketing like our friend Mary. Several times per year you're going to work on this. Once every 3 months, you're going to come back and you're going to say, how can we use the phone more effectively? And you're just going to work on that telephone skills. What are ways we can use the phone to grow our business? So in a moment, I'll show you 4 ways to double your sales with a couple phone calls a month. This is called the Dream 100 concept. Anybody ever hear this concept? I pioneered this all over the world. And now I see everybody else teaching it. And I'm like, I just want to be clear. I've been teaching this for 20 years. This is mine. And it's been doubling sales for me for 20 years. So here's the basic idea. There's always a smaller number of ideal buyers versus all buyers. Okay, so ideal is they can afford it. They're dream clients. Like for me, a dream client was American Express or Wells Fargo. I decided one day that I would get Wells Fargo as a client. And then I hit them so many times, so often, I decided one day I would get Men's Warehouse. I got an idea that I thought could double the sales of Men's Warehouse. So I hit George Zimmer so many times, the guy called me up to tell me to leave him alone. And I closed him for an appointment. And I got him as a client. Okay? So I always say there's nobody you can't get to if you're committed. And if there's 100, I say it's 100, but when I took over the magazine for Charlie Munger, there were 167, there were 2,200 advertisers in the database. 167 of them bought 95% of the ads, and yet the previous advertising director was just chasing all the advertisers with no prioritization. We kept doing that, but we took the 167, and to those guys, I launched a campaign where we hit them every 2 weeks with an offer. Every 2 weeks, a free offer to learn this, a free offer to learn that, every 2 weeks without fail. And the first month, I made no sales. Why? Big companies, hard to sell to. Second month, no sales. Third month, no sales. Fourth month, no sales. Management starts looking around at each other like, you sure this guy was top producer in his last job? Fifth month, 1 sale. Sixth month, 28 of the biggest companies in our industry. One company came in. Anybody sell advertising? Right? You know what it's like to sell a full-page advertiser? It's nice, right? How'd you like to sell 104 four-color spreads to one advertiser? Xerox came into our magazine with 104 four-color spreads. It was not just the biggest sale in the history of our magazine, it was the biggest sale in the history of the industry. And I was in their face, in their case, in their space, in their place, every single week for 6 months. There's nobody you guys can't get to, not one dream client or dream affiliate you can't get if you're committed. Now, that's B2B. But if you're B2C, you need those affiliates. How many people here would be great to have Harv as an affiliate? Okay? So now should I sick you all on Harv or no? No, I'll get in trouble for that one. But I'm just telling you, there's nobody you can't get to if you're committed. Okay? There's not one person in the world. President of the United States, doesn't matter. So it also includes groups or individuals who have a lot of influence. They should be on your Dream 100 list. And I say it's 100. It could be 200. It could be 2,000. I have a real estate broker that used this concept, and what she did is she picked a neighborhood that had only million-plus homes, and there were 2,400 of them, and she sent a flyer to that 2,400 homes every single month without fail. We lived in the neighborhood for 6 years, and we get this flyer every month. And the only thing the flyer would have is houses in the neighborhood and how much they sold for. When do you look at something like that? When you're selling your house. For 16 years, there were 2 or 3 times we thought of selling our house. When I went to sell my house, who do you think I called? Why? Because she had top of mind awareness. TOMA, they call it. Most important strategic objective for any marketing effort. Now, how much does it cost to send out 2,400 flyers to the best neighborhoods in your area? In her case, there's a simple 3-fold piece of paper. 1, 2, 3, little plastic thing. Boom, that's it. Not even an envelope would come. And about $1,100 a month. Now, so that's $12,000 a year, right? How many houses does she have to sell to make that back? 1. It's the cheapest, most effective thing any of you can do, and most companies don't do it. The cheapest, most effective thing you can do is target a small group of dream prospects. Dream prospects, dream buyers, best neighborhood. If you own a restaurant, there are some people eat out 3-4 times a week. I train the restaurants in my neighborhood to cater to me because they're not smart enough to do it on their own. I give $20 tips and stuff when I want to get it, when somebody gets me a good table. So that when I call up and it's full, and I say, yeah, this is Chet. I always use my full name. Yeah, hi, it's Chet Holmes. I want to make a reservation. And I train them, and I give them money. And now, when I call up, it's so great for my kids, too, because we're driving along in the car, and we called one of the restaurants we wanted to go to, and they go, I'm sorry, sir, we are totally sold out. And I said, can I have Richard, please? That's the manager. So he comes on, hey, Richard. I go, hey, Richard, it's Chet Holmes. He goes, hey, Chet, how you doing? I said, I got 4 people I need to get in for dinner. And he goes, sure, great. Come on in anytime. We'll get you seats. And my son was like, wow, that's so cool. I trained him to do that. But it should have been the other way around because I eat out 3-4 times a week, and I don't care about the price. I just want the best food. And if I have a favorite restaurant, I entertain a lot. So I bring people there. So are you catering to your best buyers? What kind of special programs do you have for them? So this has helped me double the sales of more companies than anything else. I've just seen it double sales again and again and again and again. I'll give you a couple more of these, okay? The key here is consistency. That's the key. Stay in their face every other week or once per month at least. If you're selling to best neighborhoods, probably once a month is enough. You're a chiropractor. We have a whole bunch of chiropractors in the audience. Pick the $1 million homes in your area and send them an offer every single week, every single month. How long do you think it's going to be before they know exactly who you are? It doesn't take long. Jay Abraham, you guys know who he is, supposedly the most expensive marketing executive in the world. I say supposedly because now I charge as much as him. So we're neck and neck, but he helped me get there, and it's because I decided he would be a great affiliate of mine. And for 2 years, he heard from me every single week. So after 2 years, finally, one of the people on his staff called me up and said, can you come down? Jay would like to have lunch with you. Guess what that lunch was worth to me, personally? 10 million. 10 million. Tony Robbins, thank you. Thank you. Tony Robbins, 12 years. 12 years. Not as consistently as Jay Abraham. Actually, when I first opened my own company, I got in front of the guy. I did a great job. He wrote me a beautiful letter, then put me to the CEO who negotiated for 6 months, and then the guy disappeared after grinding me down to almost nothing for my services, telling me that I should do so just to work for Tony Robbins. And anyway, so then it was here or there, but over 12 years, and then finally, a couple of years ago, we both spoke at an event where we were keynotes, and I had the letter with me that he had written to me telling me how awesome I was 12 years ago. Anyway, now I'm doing like 5 major projects for the guy, and I told him, I said, you know, Tony, it took me 2 years to get Jay Abraham to work with me, and that was worth 10 million. It took me 12 years to get you to work with me. How much do you think you're going to be worth for me? I said, you better be worth at least $60 million, because it took 6 times longer. Harv Eker, 1 year, even after I spoke at his event, in his face, in his case, Rob told you that Harv became a client of mine, took a year of hard labor. After I spoke, like if I had actually spoken for Jay or one of the other guys, it would have been easier. So you basically run a campaign. That's one of the things you do. That's how you make this really work well. Okay. 8th competency, effective presenting. Visual aids triple the communication experience. This is one of the most important things. How many ways do you have of visually communicating your ideas? So visual aids actually dramatically increase and enhance your ability to communicate your ideas. So like this. This is a great graphic that really illustrates the idea, doesn't it? You guys got this really good when I showed this to you. So that becomes very important. How many people here actually have to present to a buyer at some point? Okay? Well, keep your hand up if you've had expert training in that area. Wow, that's impressive. Okay, that's great. So you want to be able to communicate and present yourself better, including presentation skills where appropriate. And we already asked that question. So we're going to talk about the stadium pitch here today and teach you how to get in front of it. If you had a whole stadium of all your buyers all at once, what would you say? How many people here are ready for that right now? Yes. Yes. You've been trained by me, though. That's no fair. Okay. 9th competency. Remember I said follow-up deserves its own place? It's because it does. It makes the difference in the relationship. Enormous difference. So I have follow-ups for every little thing that happens. If you go register for one of our emails, you will start to get a campaign. And it will be really great articles. You'll be like, wow, he gives these away? And we will try to then convert you into clients and buyers and create a relationship with you. We have a ton of standard follow-up procedures. So that's what you want to have. Several times per year, you're going to work on that. What are the follow-up procedures? Now, do you want to have it where it varies depending upon who I deal with, or do you want to set some standards? Do you want to put the 3 Ps in place? And again, even if you're one-person army, by standardizing what your follow-up is going to be, it means less work for you. So that 1 hour a week that you spend every 12 weeks working on your follow-up, sit down and think, okay, how can I standardize my follow-up procedures? What kind of a letter should go out after every single meeting? Or what kind of a letter should go out first time someone comes to my website? I've worked on every aspect of that for my business, right? Working in it, we've all done, working on it. Now this might be a little too much client bonding, but you get the idea. 10, setting standards. So I just talked about follow-up, but setting standards in every area of your business. I call it standards of overachievement. I like to tell people what I consider to be overachievement. This is just basic. This is what I consider to be an overachiever. I set the bar nice and high. If you're not setting standards, client interaction can vary greatly depending upon the mood or attitude of the employee. I helped a company once, and we got them growing so fast that we're adding 55 new people every single week. Can anybody here add 55 people and integrate them seamlessly into your company this week? And then add another 55 next week? Okay, so that's what you need, Mary and Liz, is you need that where it's all spelled out. And you got to work on that, not in it. You need to sit down and look, what are the 5 things we're going to train somebody? What's the first thing, the second thing, the third thing? It's all spelled out. You videotape it, you audio tape it, so you only have to do it once. And then as you get better at it, you redo it again. That will make you much more systematic. So if you want to overachiever, you have to establish what that is. Number 11 competency is goal setting throughout the entire organization. There's actually a part of your brain. You guys learned this here about the reticular activating system. Does Harv go into that? Right, so you know what I'm talking about, where you get a new car and suddenly you see the car everywhere. It's because now that you're interested in it, your brain picks it out. So that's what you need in your companies. You need constant goals in every area of the business. Fortune 500 companies, and I've had a ton of them, they require quarterly goals, annual goals, planning sessions. So goal setting is a critical component. And then finally, number 12 is hiring. Now, you certainly know that that's a key element. The average bad hire will cost you $60,000. Here's a quote from a CEO that I did some work for. He said, "I've made hiring mistakes cost me $1 million." Anybody else do that here? Yeah, a couple guys in the room, done it? Okay, you know how much that hurts? So screen each candidate like you were going to have them watch your children. I mean, or have a screening process that weeds out the weak people really early in the process. So tips for hiring salespeople: get them while they're young and affordable. I went into a sweater store to buy a Valentine's Day gift for my wife. I did not buy a Valentine's Day gift, but the salesperson was so fantastic. I gave her my card. I said, "You make way more money working for me than in a sweater store." She ended up running like 6 companies for me at 22 years old. Total superstar. Total superstar. Found another guy, had a bungee jumping business. When I started working with him, he was sleeping on a friend's couch. He's 25 years old. Now he is retired. He's 10 years younger than me. He's retired with 3, 4, 5 homes and never has to work again in his life. The guy had the stuff. I got a paper route when I was 14 years old. I'm personally bragging here. I just want to show you that there's a profile of a type. I got a paper route when I was 14 years old and had 26 people on it. One day they put out this thing that says, for every new person you get a chance to win a bicycle. So I'm like, wow, I could use a new bicycle, you know. So I went out and I got a whole bunch of new people, and then I get the list, and it shows every kid who went out and got a new subscriber. Billy Johnson, 1. Johnny Smith, 2. Billy Johnson, 1. Sally, 1. 1, 1, 2, 2. Chet Holmes, 26. I was like, well, that's kind of interesting. You know, I mean, 14 years old, you just, you say to yourself, wow, that's weird. Why wouldn't people just go get 26 instead of 1? So anyway, when I handed the paper route back, I started off with 26 people. I had 126 people. It took 3 kids to take the paper route over. Wayne Dyer, I love his analogy. He calls it the 3-bagger. You go to a grocery store and you got the guy at the end bagging, dropping your eggs in the bag, and you got another guy might be doing 2 bags, and then you got the 3-bag guy, and he's like, boom, 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 or he's helping 2 different, cashiers pack the bags. They've got that. You've seen them. You know what I'm talking about. The 3-baggers. They're at any age. So get them while they're young and highly affordable. So how do you find them? That's a whole other thing. Pay well on performance. Little or nothing down. We don't pay, well, in my case, here's the caveat. In my case, if you're a star, you can make money your first week. And by your 3rd week, you're making good money. If you're weak, you will be out of there in a week. Because we sell training products. So you get on the phone with business owners, and if you're good, you're going to start selling because we train you really well. Right? I practice what I preach. So no matter how small you are, you can get others to help you grow your company. And this is a key ingredient I'm going to tell you. So I was talking to a graphic designer just before this, and I said, well, he's like, well, I mean, my business is feast or famine. So either I'm working on a client, or when the client work is done, then I quickly rush out and I try to get more clients. And I said, well, why don't you hire a salesperson? He goes, well, I don't know how. I never even thought of that. And I said, well, how much, what's the ideal kind of project for you? He said, well, probably an identity package. And I said, well, how much is that? He said, 25 grand. And I said, if I could bring you a client who wants an identity package, how much of a commission would you pay me? He said, well, I could pay 5,000. I said, and how many identity packages can you do in a month? Well, I can do 4. So you could do 4. That would be 80 grand a month for you. Would that be good income for you? He goes, more money than I've ever made. He says, sometimes I don't make 80 grand a year. And I said, so 80 grand a month would be good for you? Yes. And you wouldn't mind sharing 20 grand a month with that if I could get you a real superstar, right? Right. Put that in the paper and see what kind of talent you get. Don't advertise for the lowest level of talent you want. Advertise for the absolute best talent you can get. I have another client. He built this new invention, needs to sell to big companies. It sells for $1 million a sale. He said, I could afford to pay 10% of that to a top performer. So how many sales would you like? His name's Bill. How many sales would you like in a year, Bill? Well, 10 would be great. Great. Put $1 million income in the paper. So we do it. We put an ad in the paper under sales for $1 million income. Some guy worth $10 million, doing terrible in the stock market right now, spending his savings, says, I don't want to spend my savings anymore, sees the ad, $1 million income. He calls in. He doesn't even need a salary from this guy. Doesn't take one. This guy gets a stud player, retired multimillionaire working for him for nothing, who has already, in the last 6 months, sold 6 deals, made himself $600,000, and doubled the size of my client's business. Good or good? Okay? So, what could the best person make for you? And that's what you should advertise for. I had a client, the carpet cleaning guy is a perfect example. He pays $9 an hour. But his top guy, the guy I told you about, the guy's been there for years. He's built up a huge client base. He's a total stud player on the phone, superstar, rock star guy on the phone. He's great at what he does. And he makes $100,000 a year. So my client was advertising $9 an hour plus commission. I said, Paul, you want more $9 an hour people? You want more $100,000 a year people? So I want more $100,000. Put that in the ad. So I don't care who you are, how small you are. And by the way, I'll give you the line. Here's the line you want to put in the ad. Don't even call unless you're a superstar. Sounds corny. Don't even call unless you're a superstar. That's the line you want to put in. Because what kind of person is bold enough to answer an ad that says that? Or at least someone who thinks they are, right? Okay, so let me show you, using psychological profile to determine if in fact you have a superstar. Let me show you how you do that. And I do this for clients. So I'll have like a client who, I just set it up for next week. Client has 10 people lined up, and I'll get on the phone, and he says to me, you're going to screen 10 people in an hour? How can you interview 10 people in an hour? I go, I'm not going to interview them. I'm going to determine if I want to. So I get on the phone, and I go, yeah, hi, listen, the ad says, don't even call us your superstar. Tell me why you're a superstar. Well, let's see. Been in sales a couple of years now, and did pretty good in my last job, and I really like people, and I think, if I really believe in it, I can sell it really good. And I go, you know what? He goes, what? I'm not really hearing superstar. You're not? No. Oh, well, okay, I guess you would know. Yeah, I do. All right, okay, bye. Bye. Saved the guy 2 years with this guy who would not close when it come time to close. Okay? Now, what happens when you get a superstar? And you tell them, you know what, I'm really not hearing it. Well, maybe you're deaf. Like literally, they come back at you. Or they'll say to you, well, what is it that makes you think I'm not a superstar? They'll start to qualify you. They'll start selling. Or they'll say to you, well, I don't know why you would say that. In the last job I had, I went in there as the new guy, and within 6 months I was out selling people who've been there for 8 years, and and you go, okay, that's what I was waiting for. All right, so it's psychological profile, all right? So let me give you the psychological profile of top producers. Number 1 is empathy, sincere interest in helping the client succeed. But too much empathy, and what do you get? Person that will not sell. They will listen to your objections. They will say, oh, I understand. I have empathy. Too much empathy, and you will have a person who can bond, but who cannot get an appointment. Okay, so you need this other thing to balance it. Ego strength and ego drive. That's what came back when I said, I'm really not hearing top producer, and that was an actual case study where the guy said to me, well, maybe you're deaf. And I said, that a boy. I was looking for that ego. Now, too much ego and no empathy, what do you get? A jerk. Right? Too much ego, no empathy, you get an idiot. You get someone who you literally is not going to do the job for you, okay? Or, you know what, certain environments, that's okay. I mentioned the carpet cleaning. The guy he has does not have a lot of empathy, but he has tremendous ego, and he's on the telephone having short conversations. He does not need to bond permanently. He needs to bond for that minute to make the sale and get over it. So in telemarketing situations, strong ego, fine. But in long, like when you sell advertising, like I did, you can't have guys with just ego. They don't bond. But if they don't, then you need procedures of at least minimum acceptable follow-up and what they need to do with the client. So I had all that spelled out. You were supposed to take the client out for dinner. You were to do this. You were to do that. It was all spelled out. So I had a couple guys with strong ego strength and strong ego drive, not what I'd call idiots or jerks, but more ego than empathy. Really didn't care about the buyer, but they had great ego about themselves, good self-esteem. Okay, the next trait is superior skill set. They're highly productive, they manage their time, they write a great letter. By the way, I'm giving you like the top 4%. I'm giving you the psychological profile of the top 4% of producers according to Stanford Research Institute. They also like market knowledge, because market knowledge translates directly to trust and respect. So, in the carpet cleaning example, every other carpet cleaning company that you talk to will try and sell you carpets. They will tell you how much the carpeting cleaning costs, and they will tell you, when they'll be there. I mean, that's about it. This guy will start talking to you about the EPA studies on environmental and the cleanliness of your home, and people actually will go and pay more money. They'll call my client, they'll talk to him, they'll call 3 other companies and call my client back and buy from him at a higher price. All the time, every day, because they feel like that person is an expert, and market knowledge is what gives you that level of expertise. Training, you cannot find a top producer, go to the trunk of their car, and you will find some training product in the trunk of their car. They drive around with it. They listen to it while they're working out. Okay, now, the next thing we're going to cover, this is competency number 2, but I'm doing it last because it's the most important competency of all of them. Tactical approach means working harder. Strategic approach means working smarter. So, let me give you the marketing definitions. Here's a tactic. A tactic is an ad, a trade show, a sales call, a brochure, a direct mail, your website, a sales presentation, a speaking engagement, an article about you. Those are all tactics. Strategy says, what's the long-range goal? What's the overall impact that I want to have? And if you have not asked that question, then your tactics are not going to work as hard as they could. Does that make sense? Do you see that just by thinking about the long-range goal and the overall impact you want to have, ultimately, the ultimate position you want in the marketplace, by just thinking about that, aren't you going to make your tactics more effective? Okay. What's the strategic objective of each tactical effort? Meaning now you're in front of a prospect, what do you want to accomplish? So you say to me, well, I want to make a sale. And I'll say to you, is that all? You go, well, what else is there? Well, do you want referrals? Yes. Do you want to be respected? Yes. Do you want to be trusted? Yes. Do you want credibility? Yes. I could list off 14 different strategic objectives you should try to achieve when you are in front of that buyer. And by thinking about that in advance, aren't you going to be more effective at the tactical level? So, like, if I can get you guys to get this, it changes everything. A strategist will kill you if you are just a tactician. If the only goal you have for each one of your tactics is just to make a sale, you will be slaughtered by someone who knows how to first strategize every one of those tactics before they deploy them. What's the ultimate accomplishment or ultimate position you want in the marketplace? And then how do your tactical efforts support and help you accomplish that position? Here's an example of adding one additional strategic objective that increased sales 600%. 2 furniture stores open up in the same town practically on the same day. True story. In store number 1, the salespeople sell furniture. So you go in there, you say, yes, I'd like to buy a couch. The salesperson takes you to the couches, tries to sell you a couch. That is the entire tactical interaction. In store 2, the salespeople sell furniture, of course, but they also are constantly trained to sell the store. First time in the store? Let me tell you about the store. Store was founded by 2 brothers. We've been here for that. We started off selling this. We do that. We have better service than anybody else. We will come to your house. We will fix something. You get your furniture chipped. We will send a man out to your thing, and we will fix that chip in your furniture if you bought it here. We will do this. We will do that. We will do this. We will do that. So what happens is this store develops a large and loyal following of people who go there first anytime they need furniture. How many people here, when you're selling your product or service, also sell your company? Do a little bit of a pitch on the company. You are being strategic. That is very, very smart. In the same 4 years that these 2 companies were open, these guys ended up with 6 stores. And the other guy just grew at about 10% per year. That's it. So how about your company? What's the ultimate strategic position you want in the market? And do your tactical efforts support that position? And are you deploying that strategy at the tactical level? So this leads us to the stadium pitch, or what I call the core story concept, because every company should have a core story that they're going to tell no matter what. So imagine you could present in a giant stadium in front of all your potential clients. What do you want to accomplish? Again, I could give you 14 different strategic objectives you would want to accomplish in this situation. I don't have the time to go through them all, but I've given you quite a few already. Now, let's write the title right now. First of all, let me ask a question. Who here, actually, this is your stadium. You sell something that every person in this room could buy. Okay? So right now, write the headline, and we'll test it to see if these people would want to sit through that stadium pitch or that lecture. So write the title right now. Everybody write the title of your lecture. If I could put all of your potential buyers in a room all at once, what kind of company do you have, sir? Yeah. You're a doctor? And who are your potential buyers? Okay, so you would say everybody, and are you just a regular medical doctor, or?
I'm trained in family medicine and alternative medicine.
Okay, so you're actually an MD, though?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so you would be everybody, all right? So great. And you, sir, you're the jacket.
I have a plumbing and electrical company, and I have several patents. I can create
Okay.
patented products
For this purpose, let's pretend you have a plumbing and electrical company, and every person here, for homeowners or business owners or both?
new construction.
New construction. Okay, so in your audience, I just want to point this out to all of you, in his audience are going to be construction companies, right? Architects?
Mostly new contractors.
Okay.
Repeat business owners.
Okay.
Repeat purchasers.
Okay, so that's who is in his audience. I just want to define who's in your audience. Think of who the ideal buyers are in your audience. You have a question?
I train and teach people how to have photographic memory for people's names so that they're more effective at influencing, attracting other people.
Okay, so all right, so write your stadium pitch. Write the title right now.
Okay.
Write the title. Okay, let's get the mic runners going. Let's go with this lady right here.
The ultimate health and wealth solutions for all ages.
Okay, what's missing is a benefit. Okay, you need a more tangible benefit. Let's go right here, right here. And a physician fellow, if you want to way back in.
Just the title?
Yeah, just the title.
Are you letting your computer skills stop your business productivity cold?
That's good. That's good. Okay, let's go with the doctor.
So I'm focusing my target market on athletes.
Okay.
And my title is Vibrant Health and Peak Athletic Performance Are Synergistic Journeys.
Good. Good, 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 good. Let's go over here. Just pass it back. There you go. What do you sell? Who do you sell to? Is this your crowd?
I sell to the general public, and my pitch is, what if the body could heal itself?
That's good. Okay, good. Let's go to this gentleman right here. Martin.
Everyone has to be on the product I've got.
Not specific enough. Sorry. Not specific enough.
It'll save your life and everyone that you care about as well.
That's better. Okay, all right, good, good, good. Let's tune them up. Let's make them better. First, let me define who's in your audience, all right? The audience for any product or service. Basically, this is after years and years of research, but you have about 3% buying right now. Let me prove it to you. How many people are in the market right now for a car? About 3%. How many people in the market for furniture? About 3%. Different 3% though, right? How many people in the market for tires? You know you're going to need tires for your car. Look at that, about 3%. At any given time, any given product that you sell, no matter what you sell, is about 3% of the public is buying right now. So we know for those people who spoke, there's 3% of you right now who would be dead set interested right now. There's another 6% who are open to it. But that's it. So now we have, those are the two categories of that drives almost all of commerce. The next three categories are not thinking about it. So at first pass, if I said, yeah, I'm not really thinking about, some healing methods, not really, or I don't think I'm interested in a healing method. I'm pretty good. I'm a healthy guy. I'm taking good care of myself. Or I'm definitely not interested in a healing method. I'm not sick. Just showing you an example, okay? So a great stadium pitch actually would take someone who's not even interested, and the title would appeal to them. Even people who aren't interested would be attracted by a great title, and then through the course of what I call educational-based marketing, you could drive them up to the top of the pyramid, right to the buying now. So an example would be the carpet cleaning example, right? We started off, everybody here doesn't know about carpet, doesn't think about it, but what I did is if I told you that the carpet in your home can make you 15 times sicker. Now you're like, okay, let me hear a little more. And then I take you through that little education I gave you about the EPA, and bam, you want your carpets cleaned. So what can you offer to teach me that even this guy down here at the very bottom of that pyramid, even he or she wants to know? What could you offer that even the people at the bottom of the pyramid want to know? You asking a question or you have a title?
10 secrets to a lifetime in a beautiful, firm body.
Okay, women, raise your hands if you're interested. You didn't get them all. You didn't get them all. Okay, pass it back. There was a woman behind you who wanted to go.
Hi, I'm Orna Benari. I'm a professional hand analyst. And
Hand analyst? What does that mean?
well, shall I
Like
tell my
palm-
title
palm
first?
reading? Yeah,
No,
go
it's
ahead.
not
Go
predictive.
ahead.
So
Yeah,
let me
go ahead.
sell it, I think. I want to try it that way.
She's learning. That's
Okay.
great.
Do you wish your life came with an owner's manual? Well, it does, and it's written in your hands. Discover your life purpose and live it through the science of hand analysis.
Interesting. How many people would be interested in that? You got half the room on that one. That's good. Okay, great, great. Let me keep moving here. So, right before you walk out to your stadium, I turn to the audience and I go, okay, you had to come, but you don't have to stay. So Michelle's going to get up here and she's going to talk about, firm body for the rest of your life, and you don't have to stay if that's not of interest to you. Okay, you can get up and walk out. So I already showed you got about 3% of the pyramid buying right now, another 6% kind of open to it, but the other 90%, they're not really open to it. So an educational-based title, something that has a deep benefit, or scary titles are really effective too. So what was yours again? When I pushed you? You came up with a better title, you could keep you from dying and all of your friends from dying. I mean, that's kind of, okay, you got my interest. All right, that's my point, is how, what's the hook, all right? So I had a company that was selling phone systems. They were making 200 phone calls a day and getting about 3 appointments of people who would say, hey, as a matter of fact, we are interested in a phone system. But by changing their offer to, we will show you 9 ways you're wasting money in your voice and data spending, no charge at all. They got 30 appointments a week just by offering to teach people about how they would save money in their, see what I'm saying? One is totally focused on them, they want a cell phone system. The other is totally focused on serving the client, and it's educational based in its nature. Now, there's a little more to it than what I've said there, but it worked really, really well, okay? So now rewrite your headline with that in mind. Rewrite your headline with that in mind. All right, so let me help make it even better, all right? Motivation comes from 2 factors, problems and solution. Which do you think is more motivational? Okay, this is a well-trained group. I got to tell you, 9 out of 10 speaking engagements I do, they all say solutions. It's not true. The carpet cleaning guy, it wouldn't matter what the solutions are. Problems are the real motivator. If you didn't think your carpets were dirty, you don't need them cleaned. When you find out they are a life breeding ground for bacteria, now you want to get them clean. Okay? So you need solutions when you find out the problem. So I had a company. They have alternative therapies for that they want medical doctors to use. They actually have a allergy test that they do. They take your blood and they put it into like these 130 different little trays, and 1 of 2 things happen. 1, nothing happens, or 2, your antibodies actually attack the food in these 150 trays of different kinds of food antigens. So my daughter had irritable bowel syndrome, which what that is when the doctors tried everything to find out what's wrong with her, and they can't find anything wrong with her, they say it's irritable bowel syndrome. But she'd be in bed for a whole day at a time curled up in a ball with stomachache. When you're a little 10-year-old girl, it just makes me crazy. So I find this company to say, if we can't cure it, the test is free. She takes the test. Turns out she has 6 foods that she's allergic to, that she was eating all the time, removed them from her system, it went away. Went to the medical doctor. The internist, no offense intended, and said to him, look, my daughter took this test, and, they found out she's allergic to these 6 foods, removed them, and all of her, her problem went away completely. And we know it's real because we found out one of her allergies was wheat. And so then she'd start get a little stomachache, and I go, what did you eat that you shouldn't? Nothing. Chinese food we had the night before was rice. Soy sauce has wheat in it. We found that out, the hard way, right? So anyway, even with me telling this guy that it worked, he's like, no, I don't think there's no scientific validity to that at all. So no offense, but medical doctors, like if they don't know about it, then they figure it can't be worth anything because I don't know about it and I've been to medical school and I'm a doctor, right? So let me show you how we doubled the sales of this company using the exact approach that I just talked to you about. Okay, what's going on with medical doctors right now? So we get a medical doctor now and we say, doc, in the last 10 years, what's happened with your income? Do you know? Not really sure. Well, in 1995, you made $162,000 a year, average medical doctor income. In 2005, $163,000. So making $1,000 more per year. And during that same period of time, doctor, have your expenses gone up or down? Well, I think they've gone up. They've gone up 33% in the last 10 years, doctor. And what about the workload? Well, you used to be able to handle 1,100 patients in order to keep your contract with your PPO or your HMO. Now it's 2,500 patients you have to handle just for the same amount of money, basically. Cash practice or dealing with insurance companies, doc? Oh, insurance companies. Do you like that? You know they don't. Respect you had once falling. Doctor used to be, unaided. What's the most respected profession? Doctor was number 1, like 20 years ago, number 1. Guess what it is today? Number 11, okay? Consumers turning in droves to alternative therapies, doctor, with or without you, from $46 billion 10 years ago to $460 billion today. So disease is on the rise, medicines aren't working, the nutrition in our food is declining severely. You remember Popeye, right? 1940, can of spinach, 222 milligrams of iron in that. Popeye would eat that and go save olive oil. Do you know how many cans of spinach has to eat today? 125. 222 milligrams down to 2. That's how much iron is in a serving of spinach today. It's like basically you can eat all the spinach you want, you're not really going to get any nutritional value out of it. Does that make a case for for vitamins maybe? Okay, so, and I'm not selling vitamins here, I'm just showing you that I took this guy. Have I tried to sell him anything yet? No. But what I did is I made him from I'm not interested to I'm listening. Okay, this one thing took this company where they now have 7,000 medical doctors offering their food allergy test. And they cure 50 different chronic conditions with that food allergy test. Migraines, arthritis, all food allergies, by the way, really weird. Now I know a lot about this because, in case you can't tell, I'm very research-oriented. And so I will go deep. When I want to learn about something, I will go deep. So, by the way, their website is betterhealthusa.com. I get nothing to say that. I'm just telling you that these guys have cured so many people of so many allergies. So where do you get great data? Let me give you some sources. Good data, CNN.com, United States Census Bureau. Now let me show you how to get great data. If I told you, alternative therapies are really popular today, guess what we spent last year on alternative therapies? And I told you $460 billion. That's impressive, right? But how much more impressive is it when I told you what it was 10 years before? A lot more impressive. So when you're trying to get data that establishes credibility, right, that makes you more trusted and respected, remember I said one of the 5 traits of top producers, they want to be experts. And I saw it was on this form, and I couldn't believe it. I'm listening to all you say this out loud. I am a world-class expert in my business. I will add something to that, and my market. That I know everything going on with doctors. I just did a lecture for a whole bunch of salespeople who sell to lawyers. They sell law books to lawyers. Huge business, by the way. Lawyers got to have law books, right? So massive, like multi-billion-dollar business. And I asked hundreds of salespeople, how many lawyers are there in the United States? None of them knew. What's the average household income of a lawyer? What are the 5 biggest practices? Now, they know their law books and they know how to sell them. But when you get in front of a lawyer, if you have market information and data and you studied it over 10 years and you can show that lawyer information about his business that he didn't even know, what does it do for your credibility? Zoom, okay? So you know where this came from? I did not want to be treated like a salesperson. As a guy in the trenches, I never wanted to be treated like a salesperson. So I made sure I was an expert in my market and that I brought value. So it says calendar company. We had a calendar company, and what we did with this calendar company is they said, well, we're not going to go after Walmart and Kmart. We sell those pictorial calendars from Mustangs to kittens, right? You see them in the malls now, everywhere. And my client's one of those big calendar companies. And they say, well, we're not going to go after Walmart and Kmart and, you know, Target and those kinds of guys because we have 25,000 gift stores now selling our stuff. So I go, okay, United States Census Bureau, we take a look at it. In 1980, there were 96,000 gift stores in the country. Guess how many there are today? 35,000. 60,000 gift stores went out of business in the last 20 years. And guess who put them out of business? Not Walmart, but, you know, big stores like that. Walmart, Target, etc. So my client saw that and went, shift the strategy. You know, so data is really powerful, and that's why I like the United States Census Bureau, because you can go back 50 years in your area of business or profession or interest and find out things like that nutritional value thing I told you about. Okay? Articles.com, Google, of course. Here's a great source. It's called EmpireResearchGroup.com. They will not only do the research for you, they will analyze it, and they're trained in all the things that I'm talking to you about, I call them wows. If you're going to give a great core story or you want to capture credibility, the first thing you should know is some wows. A couple of wows, like where you can say, well, did you know if you sell women's health, did you know, and this is a fact, again, because I'm big on research, right, that you cut the chance of dying by disease in half. All disease, cancer, heart disease, all disease gets cut in half by walking 2 miles a day. Fact. Like 8 out of 10 people will die from cancer. If those people walk 2 miles a day, 4 out of 10 will die from cancer. Death by all disease gets cut in half. So that's data, and it gives her more credibility if she's going to try and sell you something. If she came off with 5 or 6 pieces of data like that before she started going into her stuff, do you see how her credibility would raise in your mind? And it's better if the data makes you go, wow, I didn't know that. So I call them wows. So this company will go out, they'll find the wows, they'll put them into a stadium pitch, they'll put graphics on it, they'll do everything for you. Okay? It's called EmpireResearchGroup.com. A great core story improves everything. Train sales reps in a day. So if I were selling student loans, for example, I would have all this data on that. You know that 40% of students can't pay it, or, you know, whatever the data is. I'd know everything about student loans that there is to know. And so that when a student calls in, I've got 15 ways to motivate them based upon information or data about life, about debt consolidation, about anything like that. The fruit business. You want a great core story? What you do is you call up companies and you go, did you know that today you go to dream clients, go to Microsoft, go to, you know, whoever the biggest companies in your area, and call them up and say, did you know that the commercial clutter has increased, and I can give you the statistic, 1,000% in the last 10 years. The biggest challenge you have is marketing, true or false? And they'll say, yeah, that's true. And you go, well, we've done some studies and we found 5 ways that you can penetrate your clients like you would not believe. You can stand out in the crowd. You can do this. You can do that. That's educational based, and it will get you more meetings. I had a client that sold lightings and displays. So they would try and call the lighting and display guy and sell him a lighting and display. So we went out, we did some research, and we found that the right kinds of displays in your stores actually increase point of purchase sales by up to 300%. So with that kind of data, we were able to get to the senior vice president and say, you're not spending enough money on lighting and displays. They're dealing with the lighting and display guy who has a fixed budget. If you can't fit his budget, it doesn't matter, right? So what we did is we got them in at a very, very high level with a very high level executive. They were able to show them that the most expensive thing you do today, Mr. Executive, is drive people into your store. Once they're there, don't you want to maximize the experience? And here's data, 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 data. They sell displays and they didn't have any data on it. So we went out and we did some research on it and showed them how to show their clients how they can increase their sales at the point of purchase by 300% by having better displays, better lighting, moving things, all expensive stuff that they sell. So they actually they got whole clients, dream clients, who one sale was bigger than the entire company had made in previous years. Okay, because they couldn't go and get McDonald's to put displays in all their stores. If McDonald's was doing it, they might have been one of the guys bidding for it. But when you go to the senior vice president and you show them you got the most advanced insights and knowledge on this in the industry, and they did, because none of their competitors had studied it, you see what I'm saying? See how that establishes a lot of credibility? So, what does USP stand for? Unique selling proposition, okay? That is internally focused. I say to you, there's a better way, a stronger way, if you can use your ultimate strategic position. And let me show you. An ultimate strategic position actually sets up a new buying criteria. So we go back, it's 1970, and the three of us are sitting, and we're seeing all the McDonald's are popping up, and we think to ourselves, you know, there's a pizza place in every corner in America. We should be able to come up with some kind of an idea that would make pizza franchisable. So, you know, you suggest we make them in a heart shape, and he says we make them like built like men. And, you know, people kind of want pizza when they want pizza, so that doesn't really work. And we think, well, let's look at some other pizza places. We open the Yellow Pages, and where are you guys from? Ohio. In big city or? Canton, Ohio. Okay, I turn around the Canton, that newspaper there. What do you call it? Yeah, the big newspaper there, yeah. It's one of my projects. So you're not together? Sort of. Okay, great. All right, so anyway, you don't need the mic. So we look in the Yellow Pages, and we see there's 40 pizza places in Canton. This is 1970 now. Nobody delivered pizza. Anybody old enough to remember that? You called the pizza place, you drove down, and you got your pizza. Nobody delivered pizza. And we see one guy in Canton delivers pizza. And we think, that's kind of interesting. Well, let's give him a call and order some pizza, see what that's like. So we call him up, and he goes, it's Friday night, man. We got about a 2-hour wait. Bing. Light bulb goes over the head. First slogan was, pizza delivered in 30 minutes or it's free. And then it later became, or it's pay less. And then it later became, we're not going to offer that because we've been sued by all our drivers. And so, you know, class action lawsuits have changed the world, unfortunately. But this shifted the buying criteria off of pizza, didn't it? Because what was it now? It's time or speed of delivery. It totally changed the buying criteria. So a unique selling proposition is internally an ultimate strategic position, shifts the buying criteria in your favor. And if you can do that, it changes the world. I'm going to give you great rules. Here's another one. When it absolutely, positively has to be there overnight. Whose slogan is that? Now let me ask you a question. Who here can remember 1980, FedEx was not even a blip on the radar? For us older guys, 1980 is not that long ago. And I can tell you, in 1980, it never had to be there overnight. But when it absolutely, positively had to be there overnight, 4 years later, what company did you use? And then I can tell you, by 1984, when I was in advertising sales in New York City, you couldn't survive without FedEx. I don't know how people made deadlines before they came along. I don't know how we got our advertising materials in time. So these two ultimate strategic positions shifted the buying criteria and changed the way we think about how we buy. So here are the rules for developing a slogan. A slogan should describe the product or service unless the name does. So if you are Joe's Paint Store, you don't need to say the paint store that blah, 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 because it says Joe's Paint Store. Okay, a slogan should contain a benefit. What's my slogan? Anybody know? A slogan should appear every single time, every single place you ever show your logo. Every single time, every single place you show your logo, that slogan appears. It should position your company above the competition. So a great slogan will have words like the fastest, the best, the most. Those are good. In fact, to make mine better, it should say the best company for helping companies grow smarter, better, faster, right? That would position me above everybody else just by putting the best in front of my current slogan. My God, why don't I get some training on this stuff? Anyway, an ideal slogan sets up a buying criteria in which your product or service is the most logical choice. Okay, and then also your core story should contain visuals. There's another visual, right? Did I use a lot of visuals through this that illustrated really unique concepts or things? And then the last part of this is people respect what you inspect. So another weakness of most entrepreneurs is they don't have enough controls in place. So let's look at a one-page document that monitors star sales performance. And this is, again, even if you're a one-person army, something like this can really help you. So now, this is an actual call sheet from a company that sells employee benefits in the Los Angeles area. And what kind of companies do you think I made them go after the minute they hired me? Big companies, right? Okay? So then we monitored the sales performance of the salespeople. And so at the top here, it says number of dials. You see it? 41 on Monday. Actually, this is a 4-day week. I think this is an actual call sheet of an actual salesperson. 77 on 124. This is January, right? 69 calls, 214 calls for the week. CEO or presidents that he got on the phone, 28. CFOs, 10. Controllers, 3. Human resources, mostly 29. So he made 214 calls. Now, these might have been 214 different companies where he got the CEO and got kicked to HR person. So it's not, like these are all contacts. They might be only 29 companies where he got to speak to 3 or 4 executives. What he was selling was an executive briefing on the 5 most dangerous trends facing all companies today when it comes to their human resource, which is their most expensive resource, yes or yes? Right? The most expensive thing any company has is their human labor in most companies. Anyway, so orientation schedule, notice that he got on the phone something like, 60, 70 executives, but he only got 4 scheduled. But guess what kind of companies these were? What did I say? Big companies. The Los Angeles Times, they got in front of J.D. Power and Associates. So I made them go after companies with 700 or more employees. They were just going after all kinds of companies. Now, if you go after companies with 700 or more employees, one time, what will happen? You will never get any appointments. But we pounded these guys. We hit them constantly. Gatekeepers, actively looking. Now, there were none actively looking, but I put that there because every now and then, 3% are buying now, right? Okay, insurance meeting, just changed broker. Look at that. There were, can't read my own, 8 people who just changed broker. So you can see that, it kind of makes you feel stupid that you weren't there just a month earlier. They just changed their broker. So I put that there so the salesperson would know that. Then, the next thing. So now, as long as they're going to be on the phone, let's get some information. Because the power of your database today can make a huge difference. And also, if this guy leaves, I want to know everything about every single company he or she hit. In this case, it was a he. And so you can see that we would get direct dials, right? The first column there. We would get their email addresses wherever we could. We got fax numbers. So you can see a lot of updating going on there. And then the bottom part is all the follow-up activities. Now, read these. Email confirmation of orientation. He's got 6 confirmed. How many orientations did he get sold that week? So you see a discrepancy, right? So the fact is, he was confirming 2 other ones that he got the previous week. So fax confirmation of orientation, well, he emailed it. He should have faxed it as well. Why fax as well as email? Because they got to touch it. Email, boom, delete. Too easy, and I don't even get to half my emails, let me tell you. I don't have the time, and Harv's worse than me. His just comes back and says, due to my busy schedule, I cannot answer emails. Call my assistant if it's really important. Let's see, so not interested. So there's a cool thing. When someone says, I'm not interested, click, a fax goes out immediately. I know you said you weren't interested. But the one thing you forgot to know, or the one thing you should know, or the one thing you should do, or don't make the mistake of being a person. So we had massive and diligent follow. Remember, these are dream clients. All right, fax callback. This guy says, you know what? Sounds kind of interesting. Call me back. So we sent a fax saying, Dear Bill, you said to call you back. Here's what I will be talking about when I do that. Because people cool off, right? Or fax passed on. It says, let's see, fax John Smith letter. So you had something, and another thing we sent was we'd send a letter from another client raving about how great the orientation was. So I'm just showing you like every little detail, everything tracked and monitored and managed from one piece of paper, okay? And I will give this to everybody. So summary so far, train, 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 it's how you'll own the future. Can you hire a few superstars, to help you grow your business? Every one of you can, I don't care how small you are. There are people out there, get them while they're young, they're cheap. I have a client that sells apartment buildings, so we just created a strategy for him. I said, let's get the college grad, just coming out of college, a person who's a hot player in selling apartment buildings will make $400,000 or $500,000 a year. I said, let's put that on one sheet of paper and show them first year, second year, third year, and by the fourth year, let's have them making $400,000. So my son, who I consider to be a star, and what parent doesn't, right, comes home for one day and says, Dad, I interviewed at this company, and they only take like really the best, and they're already screening him out, and they made him work his butt off to even get the appointment. And he shows me the sheet that shows how much money he's going to be making in 4 years. Do you think I might put up the money for him to not make any money for the next 6 months if he can end up being a $400,000 a year income person? So there are parents that can afford to let their kids work for you for nothing if you can make the payoff big enough and they can take that home in a piece of paper and show it to their daddy. Okay, you follow me? Who are your dream affiliates or partners or dream clients? Who are your dream clients? What special effort will you put into action? Keyword? Forever, guys, it's forever. Okay, how well are you installing the 3 Ps? Be strategic, maximize your tactics. These are the things that set you up for a lifelong business that dominates its market. I know you had some Deming stuff the night before last, but I don't know how much of it was focused on sales, right? And then what are you going to do at the tactical level to ensure you're implementing? Be pig-headed and determined as heck. Have mandatory weekly training without fail. Constantly install those 3 Ps. Most companies do not have great sales and marketing. I think you saw that here by what I showed you. Most companies aren't even in the same league as what I showed you. That's why when a company buys my training products, hint, 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 coming right up, or, I'm teasing, well, no, I'm not, or, a company gets involved with me, we slaughter the competition. It's easy. It's easy. Most companies do not sell and market very well. They don't have a consistent, concerted effort to go after their dream clients. It's easy to slaughter the competition. And here's the ultimate reason, the ultimate rule for being a great builder of businesses, okay? Number 1 rule, the one with the most passion wins. If your passion to improve your business is greater than the resistance or inertia, whether that be your inertia or the inertia of your staff, you will prevail and you will build your business. If your passion to get those dream clients is greater than the resistance, you're going to get them. So George Zimmer calls me back and says, listen, I'm very entertained by all your voicemails, but we're not interested in, I said, you're not interested in doubling your sales? He said, look, if there was a way to double my sales, I would know it. Honest to God, that's what he said. And give him some credit, he probably thinks he would, and he probably would. And I said, well, you don't want to spend an hour to find out potentially a way to double your business? And he goes, there is no way to double my business. I said, what about a 20% increase? I said, would a 20% increase in sales be worth an hour of your time? He said, you're losing credibility. First you said you could double my business. Now you're only saying you can increase it 20%. I said, I'm not losing credibility. I'm lowering it so that you can believe me so that I can get that appointment. Okay. Right? You can hear him going like this with his pencil. Because what do you do when you close? That's exactly what I did when I closed. And I could hear him tapping his pencil, and I didn't say a word, and he waited 5 minutes. Or I don't know, it seemed like forever. And I know he's sitting there smiling, going, I know what to do. He just closed me, and I'm testing him, and he gave me an appointment. And then, what do you mean? When you close, you shut up. If you say, can I have an appointment, shut up. And I have a whole training program on that. Coming right up. So next, constantly work on the business. So 52-session learning curve, all right, perfect sales. This is the learning curve of any skill, right? You're going to have to repeat it again and again and again. Time management, strategic thinking, telephone skills, sales skills, follow-up skills, presentation skills. Do you want to be this guy with an idea here or there? Or do you want to be this guy who's had 52 one-hour proactive sessions to improve his skills in 12 areas 4 times every year no matter what? Which guy is going to win? Is it clear? Okay. So, now, normally, I have you do an exercise where you try to figure out what this has been worth to you, where you go back through those breakthroughs and you sort of do a little bit of a calculation on what the session is worth for you, because that makes it stick really well. And then I have you tell me the numbers. And I'll just tell you, because I'm behind schedule and they're going to throw me off the stage right on the time. So I'll just tell you that I will hear numbers like $250,000, $5 million, $500,000, $7 million. How many people can see that? Just, you can see that you could get some significant increases by using the material that I've shown you here today. Only 18 people or everybody? Just want to make sure, right? I'm here to serve.